The Tears of Gaia by Redback Spino. Chapter 10 of Dreams and Feathers. Dragons truly were some of the most mysterious of equestrian creatures. Little was known about their behavior patterns, besides that they were extremely territorial, greedy, and vicious when provoked. Even less was known of their physiology, how they created the fire in their bellies, how they aged, why some seemed intelligent while many were feral and bestial. All these questions had gnawed away at the mind of many an equestrian biologist, but most mysterious was the question of what happens to a dragon's body after they die. Fresh bodies of recently dead dragons have never been found, for some reason. On the rare occasions when a dead dragon was found in a wild, it was already a skeleton. And yet, analysis would sometimes indicate that the dragon had been alive a matter of days beforehand. In a matter of hours earlier, before Twilight, Star Swirl, Rarity, and Pinkie Pie had saw his eyes, this question was answered. As the warmth left Theros' body, and his dragon fire was extinguished for the last time, he began to change. His armor scales lost their sheen and became almost like withered flower petals. Then, as if burnt away by some invisible fire, his scales and flesh began flaking away into gray specks and motes of dust, and carried away on the wind in a large white cloud of dust and ash. It was only a few minutes until all flesh and tissue were gone, leaving only the bleached bones as any evidence that Theros the dragon had ever existed at all. That night, dinner was had in silence by the four ponies, in the shadow of the massive skeleton. Each pony kept to themselves and their own thoughts, both on the events of the day and what might lie ahead. It was a somber affair. Even Pinkie Pie, that endless walking party herself, was uncharacteristically quiet and restrained. So, Verity was the one to finally break the silence. Where do we go from here? Twilight looked up from her meager meal of trail mix and dried fruit and sighed. I'll be honest. I have no idea. Now there's something I never thought I'd hear Twilight say, Pinkie murmured to Star Swirl. Yes, I know, but it's the truth, Twilight replied. I mean, let's take a stock of where we are in all this for a minute. Firstly, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack are missing, presumed captured by those blight things. If they're still alive, that is. Star Swirl added under his breath, too quiet for any pony else to hear. The four of us, meanwhile, are marooned out here in the middle of Celestia knows where, with no indicators of where anything is, or even if we're still in Equestria, Twilight continued. And we can't travel as fast as we have been, now that Theros is gone, Pinkie finished, choking ever so slightly on the last word. Her hair had returned to its bouncy curls, but her chipper attitude had not. We do have a bit of good news, though. Really? Pinkie opened her saddlebag and pulled out the little box. At least we still got the tears. Yeah, I guess we do have that going for us, Twilight said. If nothing else, at least the tears and those blight things are far away from each other. As far as we know. Star Swirl took his head off, running a hoof through his gray mane. We have no idea where we even are, so who knows if the blight are present out there, whatever out here may be. Silence descended on the group again, with nothing but the crackle of the fire and the occasional whistle of the breeze. Pinkie suddenly stretched her forelegs in the air with a mighty yawn. Oh, well, I don't know about you guys, but I could sure use a good nap right about now. Verity frowned at the pink pony. How can you think of sleep out time night? Before she could finish, she herself yawned. Oh. Miss Pinkie is right, Star Swirl said. The more we stay awake rather than our brains for ideas, the worse off it'll be in the morning. A good night's rest may clear our minds. Twilight nodded, laying down with her cloak draped over her. All right, but first light tomorrow, we strike camp and get on our way. Where to? Asked Pinkie. I'm not sure. Any settlement nearby, a landmark, just something, anything that might give us a clue to exactly where we are, and maybe some indicator to where our friends are. So, the four ponies lay to rest, gathered around the dwindling fire, cloaks wrapped snugly around their bodies. Sleep did not come easy, however, as each pony tossed and turned as they tried to find rest. Finally, however, their exhaustion took over, and one by one, the ponies drifted off into a deep sleep. For the first time in weeks, Twilight found herself completely calm. All the troubles they had faced, the trials and tribulations, the sadness and fear they had felt since their departure for Canterlot, it all seemed to float away like a leaf caught in a breeze. It felt as if she was lying on some grassy meadow, surrounded by white clouds and a clear blue sky. Nothing but soft grass beneath her, and a gentle wind blowing across her fur and mane. Imagine her surprise then, if you will, when she opened her eyes and found out that indeed was exactly where she was lying. "What?" was about all she could manage to say as she looked around in utter confusion. Gone was the arid wasteland where she had fallen asleep. Gone were her friends who had laid down with her for the night. Even the mighty skeleton of Tharos was nowhere to be seen. "Did I teleport in my sleep?" she thought to herself. "Is such a thing even possible?" Twilight looked up at the sky, where nothing seemed often peculiar either. "This can't be real. It just doesn't feel right," she thought aloud to herself. "How can you be so sure?" Twilight jumped to her hooves as she heard a voice echoing to her on the wind. "Who's there?" The voice did not answer. She looked all around her, but saw nothing but green hills as far as the eye could see. As she glanced about, she saw her saddlebags on the ground a few feet away. The matter of the mysterious voice remained in her mind, but she paid it little heed. She hurried over to it and rifled through it. Was relieved to find everything: books, food, supplies, all accounted for. As she breathed a sigh of relief, her searching hoof nudged a book out of her bag and onto the ground. As she levitated it back into the bag, it fell open as she froze. The page was supposed to be detailing the diplomatic alliance between the Griffin kingdoms and Equestria. But about 3 paragraphs down, the text seemed to devolve into pure nonsense and gibberish. "What the?" Twilight mouthed, before it struck her. "Of course. This is a dream." "But of course it is." "That voice again!" Twilight's head whipped around, frankly seeking out the source of the voice. She knew not why, but it seemed almost familiar. Then she saw her. Just on the next hill stood a figure, an old gray mare. Her gray mane and tail blew in the slight breeze. Her face wore a gentle, kind-hearted smile. But what really drew Twilight's attention were the clothes the old mare was wearing. A simple, dark blue nightgown. "Roanoke!" Twilight cried. The old mare nodded. "Hello again, Twilight Sparkle. Nice to see you again." Twilight called back. What are you doing here?" "How should I know?" Roanoke replied. "It's your dream, my dear." "But is it really you? I mean, are you just a dream version of you? Or is it you for real?" Roanoke smiled. "Yes, I'm a dream version of me. But why should that make me any less real?" "Well, it's I... Huh?" Twilight sat down on the grass, no answer coming to mind. "Well, okay, so you're here, and you might be the real you. But what are you doing here? Not that I'm not happy to see you, Roanoke. It's actually great to see you again, especially, after everything that's happened lately." I know, and I'm sorry for what's happened to your friends," she replied as she approached, "but I can promise you that they are all right for now." "But how do you—" "You know what? Don't answer that," Twilight chuckled. "You just know, right?" "Exactly." Roanoke reached the top of the green hill and stood beside Twilight. For a moment, not a word passed between the two. "Still, thank you," Twilight said. "I don't know how you know all these things, but if you say my friends are all right, I suppose that's a bit of relief." "I only said they were all right for now, Twilight," replied Roanoke. "How long they remain all right is up to you and your other friends." The unicorn froze. So much for reassurance. "So, what do we do now? I mean, we're stuck in the middle of some wasteland with no landmarks, far outside of Equestria. We lost our dragon. We have no way to find others." "That's why I'm here," Roanoke interrupted. "I have information that may help you." Twilight's eyes brightened. "Really? Like what? Right now we could use any help we can get." The old mare closed her eyes. "Very well. I have 3 things for you to remember. They will help you in your journey ahead. When they have all come true, then you can begin your search for your friends." "Wait, only then?" Twilight frowned. "Why not sooner? Why not go as soon as possible? They need our help!" "Not as much as you'd think. I'm not sure how, but I expect your friends will be receiving some help on their own, and not from you," replied Roanoke. "But you must wait until these things have come to pass, before you can seek to rescue them." "But why? You're not making any sense!" Twilight shouted. And here I am saying that if that's unusual for her. "Just who are you, Roanoke? Ever since we first met you back at the falls, I still haven't been able to figure out. How do you know all these things? Where do you even come from?" "I can't say, Twilight. I'm just telling you what I've learned. They are what they are. Don't blame me. As for where I come from, The real question is, where have you gone? But that makes even less sense, snapped Twilight. Do you want to hear the three things or not? Twilight opened her mouth to argue, but thought better of it. Whoever this Roanoke was, and whoever it was that she knew these things about her journey, they had been right so far. Her riddle had led us straight to the tears, she mused. Not to mention she was right about bad things. Whatever happened wherever we left the path. All right, Roanoke, let's hear these three things. The old mare nodded, clearing her throat. The first thing is, the mountains to the west house feathered friends. Oh, great, Twilight thought. More riddles, and more mountains for that matter. Mountains in the west, feathered friends. Got it. Next! The second thing is, the artisan shall defeat the warrior thrice. The unicorn nodded. Artisan defeats warrior thrice. And the third thing? And the third thing is, the prodigal son will be found. Roanoke said with a nod. Twilight repeated the three phrases in her head over and over until she had them memorized. Prodigal son, found. All right, so what do all these things mean? What do they mean? They are riddles, Twilight. And I think I know exactly what each of those three things mean. And the second one just sounds freaking awesome. I noticed that, she deadpanned. Roanoke shrugged. I'm not doubting your perception, but the point is to figure it out for yourself, Twilight. I don't even know what they mean myself. I'm just telling you what I was told. This is all I'm permitted to say. Once these three things have happened, you'll be able to find your friends. If it starts any sooner, and you'll only meet with disaster and death. Okay, audience, write the three things I've just set down onto a notebook paper, and then I want you to take a minute to mentally guess what each of those mean. Then afterwards, try to see if your stuff comes true. The winner will receive a no prize from Marvel Studios. Thank you. What do you think? Roanoke replied with a smirk. The unicorn growled. All right, sorry, I know. You're just saying what you know. But I wish we had a little more to go on than riddles and fake hints like that. But I guess we do have somewhere to head to for now. Heading west to the mountains, so that's a start. There, see? At least now you have somewhere to go, Roanoke said reassuringly. Now, give me something. Huh? I said, give me something. Anything. That's something that is recognizable as yours. Roanoke replied, taking a step closer. Twilight was clueless. It seemed like such an odd request. Okay, I guess. Like what? What would you like? Some sort of token, maybe. A trinket that you have with you, she said, nodding in the direction of Twilight's saddlebags. It doesn't matter, just as long as it's something of yours. The unicorn nodded and started to rummage through her bag, before coming out with a small bookmark. It was a simple thing. A strip of cardboard wrapped in a golden-colored string. It was an odd thing that she had bought in Ponyville and an old crafts boot on market day. It apparently hits the proverbial ride when she packed her books for the journey, but it fell into the bottom of the bag. Its string began to unravel and lose its color. Will this do? She asked, now thoroughly baffled by the old mare's odd request. Roanoke nodded as she took the bookmark. I will return it to you when you find these things to be true. Twilight scratched her mane. But how would you... You know what? Forget it. I don't really care anymore. Knowing you, you'll find some way. The old mare smiled. True. I don't know how, but soon. It will return to you soon enough. Sorry I cannot say anything more, but I can predict that you and your friends will go through many hardships on this journey. But in the end, you'll all come out of it stronger and closer than before. She paused in the air around them, started to ripple for a moment. Ah! It looks like me time is up. Remember those three things, Twilight. I'll leave you now. It looks like it's time to wake up. Twilight squinted as she opened her eyes to the harsh morning sun overhead. Rubbing her eyes with a hoof, she sat up and looked around. Oh, you're awake. That's good. She heard Starswirl stay behind her. She turned and saw him getting to his hose as well, dusting the grit and sand off his cloak. Morning, Starswirl. Did you sleep well? Indeed, my dear Twilight, like a log. Once the others are up, we can plan what our next steps should be. He replied and went over to Rarity and Pinky and nudged them gently. Actually, about that, you see, last night I had this dream that... Ah! Why did you have to wake me? Twilight was interrupted as Pinkie stretched and yawned wildly. I just learned how to bring food to life. Let me tell you, when it comes to Scrabble, that pizza pony is a pro. Rarity can only stare with a mix of incredulity and contentment. Well, I'm glad to see we have our old Pinkie Pie back. I must admit, darling, your rather down mood had me worried last night, even with, well, all that happened. Pinkie, however, simply grinned at her. Oh, Fairy, I'm fine now. Sure, everything happened last night was sad and all, but it looks like old Starswell was right. The bearded stallion raised an old eyebrow. Old Starswell? I mean, I'm totally gonna miss Staros, but at least he got to be free in the end, and I don't know about you guys, but a good sleep definitely cleared me up a bit. I must agree, added Rarity. We were all a little on edge with what happened yesterday, but now that we're fed and rested, we can tackle our next step of the journey with new vigor. So then, what's the next step? Starswell frowned. That's the problem. We could be as rested and well fed as we want, but we still haven't had a clue for where we are or where we should go. I think we should head west. The three pairs of eyes turned to curiosity at Twilight, who faltered slightly, but regained her composure quick enough. I mean, well, it's a good way to go, right? If we keep heading west towards those mountains, Twilight turned until the rising sun was at her back, facing a distant ridge of tall mountains. At the very least, we'll have a fair view of the surrounding land. We might be able to spot some landmarks or something. The others looked unconvinced. I don't know, Twilight. Don't you usually like to try all choices to be super efficient and scientific and stuff? I know it doesn't seem to make much sense, but I just have a good feeling about going that way, you know? No, Twilight, I really don't know. Piggy has a point, dear. It's not like you to try something purely on a hunch, so to speak, replied Rarity. She rolled up her cloak and slipped it into her bag. Now, don't dismiss Twilight's idea so quickly. Starswirl stepped to Twilight's side. At this point, we have as much of a chance of finding anything if we go in any direction. But as you said, mountains will give us a good vantage point to see any settlements, landmarks, or, Celestia forbid, roving bands of blight. The old stallion gave Twilight a smile and a knowing wink. She smiled gratefully back. Rarity rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. Well, I suppose that's true. All right, you can count me in. Me too, Piggy squeaked. It's like a new adventure. And yeah, I bet the view at the top of the mountains will be awesome. Twilight started packing her bags up as well. Then, let's not waste any more time. If we get going now, we should reach them before sunset. As she shouldered her bags and started to race to the mountains, Pinkie raised a hoof. Hold on a second! What about breakfast? We can eat as we walk. Now let's go. And so, the band of four were on the way across the plains. With the sun at their backs and the mountains before them, they walked in relatively silence. A few times Pinkie started humming a little tune, trying to compose some new walking song to keep the spirits up, but the forbidding mood of the arid waste around her would stop her, leaving her whistling and humming echoing on the wind. Twilight and Starswirl took the front of the group, walking side by side. Starswirl lowered his head, muttering in a low voice. So, my dear Twilight, what's the real reason we're going this way toward the mountains? Twilight gulped nervously. What do you mean? Come now, Twilight, he replied with a chuckle. Even I can tell you aren't just acting on the hunts. Why are we traveling to the mountains, really? Twilight grinned awkwardly, trying hard not to look at Starswirl's knowing gaze. All right, look. I didn't want to say anything, and you're probably not going to believe this, but before we met you, me and my friends had stayed the night at this place near Niagara Falls. Ah, yes, I went there as well. The old mare there said I missed you leaving, Starswirl said. Well, that old mare, Roanoke, how do I put this without sounding crazy? The old stallion grinned. I've seen things and heard things, Twilight, that would make your tail curl. Try me, my dear Twilight. Well, all right. Twilight took a deep breath and continued. I don't know how, but she seems to know things and do things that an ordinary earth pony shouldn't be able to do. And last night, she visited me in a dream and told me that if we head west to those mountains, we'll find something that will help us find the others. She closed her eyes. Sounds even more ridiculous saying it out loud. She tensed slightly, waiting for Starswirl to call the hike to a stop and berate her for leading them on a wild cockatoo chase. Instead, she heard him chuckle. Ha 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 ha. Oh, Twilight. I've heard far stranger things than that before. She opened her eyes. That was unexpected. So, you don't think that's crazy? Not at all, Starswirl replied. I remember when I encountered that Roanoke character before, and I must agree there was something odd about her. There was something in her aura and the air around her. I'm not sure what it was, but she was certainly no normal Earth pony. Perhaps she has some way of entering one's dreams, similar to Princess Luna.
Ah, yes. I've heard about that,
Twilight said. Yes, rather reassuring to know that we're even protected from our nightmares in Equestria. But whether it was truly her, or just some part of your mind talking to you, either way, it gave us a direction where before we had none. So for that, I'm at least willing to try. He gazed ahead at the massive mountains that loomed ever closer. Besides, if the princesses in all their wisdom trust you, then I see no reason why I should not. You don't seem like the kind of man to deceive or mislead, so I trust you.
Twilight smiled, trying to desperately contain her nervous glee. The greatest sorcerer of all time to say, trust me! Thank you, Star Swirl. But I guess that's why I didn't say anything to the others. I mean, they're my best friends in the whole world, but, well, I guess it does still sound pretty far-fetched.
I completely understand, the old stallion replied. But speaking of the princesses, I've been meaning to ask for a while now. How does such a young unicorn as yourself get to be a personal student of not just royalty, but divinity?
Twilight grinned. Well, it's a funny story, really. Delighted to have an attentive listener, Twilight regaled the story of how she first enlisted in Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, the particular incident of her entrance exam, and how Celestia intervened, offering to tutor her in her studies. All the while, Star Swirl listened with rapt attention to the young unicorn's tale, asking questions and responding with amazement at the story, acting for all the world like an eager school coat. But Twilight finished telling her tale of her friends since defeating Nightmare Moon. Rarity trotted up beside them, casting a furtive glance behind them. Forgive my interruption, but I think we have company.
Twilight and Star Swirl froze on the spot.
Where do you see them?
Rarity pointed over her shoulder, at a small cloud not far above them.
I think I see them peeking out from behind that cloud up there.
Blight? Star Swirl frowned, squinting up at the cloud.
Rarity shook her head. I'm not sure. Maybe. But his eyes don't look like those beasts that attacked us before. At least, I don't think so.
Twilight stared up intently at the cloud as well. She could just make out a small shape standing on top of it.
Let's keep going. Pretend we didn't notice it. If we don't give it any trouble, it shouldn't leave us alone.
Rarity, Star Swirl, and Pinky nodded. They rearranged themselves into a line. The 4 ponies continued westward toward the mountains.
They intently did not look up at the cloud,
but none of them failed to notice that it seemed to be hovering right above them always, following them. They carried on for about 5 minutes, concentrating on the journey ahead, but neither letting their guard down, whatever this mystery stalker was. Finally, their paces paid off. Pinky's ears pricked up as he heard the telltale flapping noise of feathered wings. She went around as the sound came closer and closer, ready to catch their assailant. All she could make out before she was bowled over was a pair of clawed yellow forelegs and a pair of brown wings. Anything else was blotted out as something small but extremely heavy and bulky bolted to her with a squawk. She grabbed frantically at the stranger, but whatever it was fast. Wriggling at her grasp, it grabbed onto the saddlebags on her back, wrenching them from her shoulders. Before it could fly around, however, the flapping bundle of fur and feathers found itself containing a bubble of energy. Blue, magenta, and yellow energy mingling together in a single bubble.
Hold still, Pinky! We almost got it!
Twilight shouted as he galloped up to her, wrenching her magical grip upwards and lifting the attacker to the air. Quickly helping Pinky back to her host, Twilight, Rarity, Star Swirl gathered around the magical bubble to get a good look at their attacker. For the race downwards, it had the size and appearance of a small cat or lion cub, with sounding brown fur and a tiny tuft of hair sprouting from the tip of his tail. But everything else was covered in white, soft, downy feathers. Yellow eagle eyes glared at him through a pair of black goggles, and it wore small black gloves on its clawed hands.
A griffin? Rarity exclaimed. Oh, what's a griffin doing out here in the middle of nowhere?
And a young one at that, even stranger, as Star Swirl. Let me go! It squeaked in a young boy's voice.
Get off of me! Let me go, I said!
Be silent! Star Swirl shouted back. We'll let you go when you tell us why you were following us.
The griffin struggled inside the belly. Bubble. Let me go, please! I was hungry, all right? I was just flying around on my own when I saw your horse walking around down here. Thought to myself, you might have some good food or something, so... Wait. Horsa? Rarity interrupted. What does that mean? Twilight replied. It's Griffconic. It's the closest word they have for ponies. So, you just decided to help yourself to your food, then? The griffin nodded firmly. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm sorry, all right? You got your fisk back. I said I'm sorry. Now, let it go, horse lady.
Pinky leans over to Twilight. If he's out here, his mom and dad must be nearby too. Maybe they can help us or something. Exactly what I was thinking, Pinky. Twilight smiled back, before turning back to the young Griffin. All right, young man. We're not going to hurt you or anything, but we will be making sure you don't bother anyone else. Where are your parents? He pointed a claw towards the mountains. They're just up that way. We were stopping on our way to Fazia, and I got bored, so I went for a fly. The three unicorns released their magical horns, and the griffin took to the sky. Take us to them. We want to have a word with them. And his proud, fierce demeanor faltered, and his face grew. You're not going to get me in trouble, are you? I really didn't mean anything by attacking you. I was just hungry. Randy smiled back. The griffin's unicorn reminded her of Sweet Belle and her friends, who would certainly always go for the pity act whenever they were in trouble. It's all right. You were not in trouble. You mostly just sucked. But next time you would do well to ask for permission before helping yourself to somebody's belongings. I'm trying to get a little she talks funny. But yeah, I promise I'll ask next time. Good, Twilight replied, walking over to Rarity's offending mutterings. Talks funny with that little... Now, will you take us to your parents? We'd like to meet them. He nodded eagerly. He took off to the sky, flapping his wings as fast as he could. I'm Jared, by the way, he called down to them. What are your names? I'm Twilight Sparkle, Twilight replied, and these are my friends, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Star Sword the Bearded. Each pony smiled and waved up to the young griffin as their names were given. Jared scoffed. You also have weird names. Nice, but still weird. We have weird names. What kind of weird name is Jared anyway? Pinkie giggled. Jared looked low, flying just above Pinkie. Hey, it's a cool name. It means spirit of brave and draconic. The two of them bickered playfully back and forth over what constitutes a cool name, until the group passed over a small hill and saw a dirt road leading across the plains and up the mountains. Standing by the side of the road were a pair of older griffins, a male and a female. The male griffin was of average build, with thorny brown plumage and darker brown fur. He wore goggles similar to as Gerald's perched on his brow, as did the female, who shared her son's white plumage. As they came into view, the mother swooped in and grabbed Gerald in a hug. Harold, oh, there you are, you little troublemaker. Your father and I told you to be back in half an hour. Oh, where have you been? He's been with us, ma'am, Twilight spoke up. He was flying around nearby, looking kind of lost, so we found him and brought him back. Before Jared had a chance to respond and detail how much of that was fabricated, he caught out the stealthy wink from the unicorn and kept quiet about it. I'm sorry, Mum. Oh, it's all right. The female griffin hugged her closer as he landed back on the ground by her husband. Thanks, you fool, said the male. He was starting to get a bit frantic when he didn't turn up after an hour. It's remarkably easy to get lost around here. And there's talk of strange folk around, too. Who knows what we could have run into? No problem, Mr. Griffin, Pinkie replied with a smile. The male griffin reached out with a claw. Please, call me Gilbert. This is my wife, Grunda, and I see you've already met Gerard. Starsword shook his eye sake. Well met, Gilbert. I am Starsword the Bearded, and these young males with me are Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, and Pinkie Pie. A pleasure to meet you, Rarity added with a slight bow. Pinkie Pie bowed to the griffins and shook their claws as well with a chirpy, Hiya there! Now tell me, Starsword continued, your son mentioned a place called Fazia, and you said you were traveling there. Where is that? Griffin pointing toward the mountains. It's a griffin settlement in the West Mountains over here. Big place, almost like a fortress. Like I said, there's some strange creatures abroad, so we decided to travel out there for safety. Apparently, a lot of griffins are already headed there. Twilight's ears perked up. Creatures? These creatures, would they happen to have strange eyes, yellow and black? Yes, Grunda replied. That's them. They've been causing trouble back where they came from. All weird-looking creatures with spines and claws and the like, and yellow eyes. But the whites are black. Have you seen them too? Starsword nodded mournfully. Unfortunately, indeed we have. We originally numbered 7 in all, but we were attacked, and 3 of our friends were kidnapped by them. Grunda replied, gasped, and raised the claw to her mouth. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm guessing that's why you're out here, then. Gilbert signed in. You're looking for these creatures that took your friends. The old unicorn nodded. Indeed. Jared hung closer to his mother, who touched his feathers reassuringly. Well, we haven't seen any of these creatures out here in the plains, I'm afraid, Grunda replied, and you're the first ponies we've seen in months. Ponies? Pinkie interjected. I thought you guys called us Rasa or something. grunted chuckled. Rosa, you mean? You picked that word up from Gerard, I'm guessing. No, we can speak common equestrian too. Well, Gerard's still learning. But anyway, if you need help, you should come here to Vizier with us. If any birds seeing your friends or those sponsors, we'll be probably there. The mountains in the west hold Feather's friends. For the briefest of seconds, Twilight's mind went blank. Blank, save for Roanoke's words, and the echo in Twilight's mind. Was this what she meant? No way it could be a coincidence, she reasoned. If these riddles are true, we're bound to find some answers in this Vizier place.
Oh, yes.
Yes, if you could take us there, we'd be very grateful. There's bound to be some some bird there who can help us.
Then let's get going. Just follow us.
After that, Gilbert and Grunda took to the air, flying low overhead to the group, followed closely by Twilight, Rarity, and Star Swirl. Pinkie ball out the rear, playfully jumping up and trying to grab Geron, who would hover teasingly above her. Together, the 7 travelers made their way toward the western mountains, with the afternoon sun shining above and casting long shadows behind them.